Welcome to the Root of All Broth. I'm Kathleen Hill, and this is the show where we talk about the inspirations behind the foods that we cook. This week we've been talking about perfect pairings, and today I'm going to teach you a recipe that is a perfect pairing to any brunch menu. It's cowboy potatoes. So let's get started. Cowboy potatoes, some people might call a hash, but a hash essentially has meat because it comes from the word hasher, which means chopped meat. It is not a hash, but it is. People might consider it like a hash brown potato, with chopped potatoes, red and green peppers, and Vidalia onions. And in this recipe, we'll not only be using olive oil for the potatoes, but coconut oil when I saute my vegetables. So if you have never tried coconut oil, sauteing like Vidalia onions and coconut oil, you're really missing out on a wonderful experience. So I'd highly recommend it. And of course, at the end, I always use a little Tabasco, and I'll talk about a couple ways that you can use these cowboy potatoes in your brunches. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate how we're going to dice this potato. We're going to leave the skin on and simply dice this up. You can see I've already diced one. We're going to use 3 potatoes for this recipe. So now I'm going to continue to cut all my vegetables. I'm going to cut my peppers and then my onion. When you cut your pepper, you're just going to cut the end off here. Run your knife along to cut out the center. See? And that's where your seeds will come out. And you can just pull this section out. Voila. And then just cut it in half. And start to chop. Alright, so we're going to cut the pepper in half like this. And you can see there's a little bit of membrane there. You just take your knife and you run that down. Get any seeds out. So we've chopped our 1 red pepper. Now I'm going on to the green pepper. Okay, so I've moved on to chopping my Vidalia onion. I ran the onion under the sink, removed the extra skin on the outside of the onion. I cut it in half, and now I'm chopping the onion. You can see the size that I've left the peppers pretty big. They're not really small, and then the onions are going to be kind of the same way. So I'm going to go ahead and start chopping the rest of this onion, and then you can put it all in the same bowl because it's all going to go in the same wok. So if you guys are new to cooking, don't worry if your knife skills aren't great. I mean, I am not the best chopper in the whole world. In fact, you know, I still practice my chopping, my cutting, my knife work. But don't worry, it's not something that can't be learned. It's not something that people are really going to judge you. If your food tastes delicious, all that can come later. Just do what you can to start working on just your flavors and your palate, and then all the knife work you can practice at any time. Okay, so I'm using some different cookware for this recipe. Over here I've got a big cast iron skillet, which is what I'm going to do my potatoes in, and I'm using my wok to saute my vegetables, only because I love a wok, because I can really get under the vegetables and toss them. But we're also using a couple different kinds of oil. So this is the extra virgin coconut oil I talked about. Do about 2 tablespoons in your pan. And we're going to do the same with the olive oil over here with our potatoes. I've already got some in there, so we don't want to get too much. So we're going to start with our potatoes. Our potatoes are going to take quite a long time. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these up, the eye on to medium heat. And I'm going to go ahead and put my potatoes directly into the pan. And you're not going to want to touch them for like the first 10 minutes. We're just going to let them kind of cook in an even layer. So I recommend using a metal spatula for the potatoes. The potatoes can be rather heavy and we're going to do a lot of turning and tossing. So I definitely would recommend a metal spatula for that. For your vegetables, when you saute, you can use any kind of wooden spoon or other spatula that you want to use. But if you have a metal spatula, or if you don't, you need to invest in one because it's really good for doing something like this. So it's been about 10 minutes. I want you to take a look. You can see the potatoes are actually starting to sweat. Now I have a hot spot on my stove, so for this next round, I'm gonna turn my pan a little bit so it's evenly cooked. And I'm just gonna get up underneath these potatoes and I'm gonna start to turn them. I'm gonna go ahead and start seasoning. I've got about 2 tablespoons of pepper and 2 tablespoons of salt. We're gonna put that. I like a lot of pepper, a lot of salt. Now, these potatoes are not going to be hard like a hash brown. They're going to be kind of soft. I'm going to add a little cayenne pepper too. Just add it to what you like. I do love cayenne pepper. It's not a lot coming out of here. Okay. Now, while these potatoes are cooking again, we're going to come over here and start our vegetables in the wok. Got on the rear of my stove because this is not going to cook as high. And I'm going to put it on medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and melt that coconut oil, and then I'm going to add the vegetables and start cooking those until they're translucent. So this time, instead of just letting that sit for 10 minutes, we're going to continuously stir it. My coconut oil over here is ready to go. I'm going to come over. I'm going to go ahead and start adding my vegetables. Grab me a spoon and really just start cooking these up in that coconut oil. Now this one, you're gonna have to watch your potatoes and your vegetables at the same time. It's a balancing act. You guys will do it. I'm sure you'll be fine. Okay guys, what we're looking for now, it's been cooking now a total of 22 minutes. From the very beginning to now. So you can see we're having some softening of the pieces. That's what we want. If you see any hard pieces, you know it needs a little bit more. So you just kind of look at your smallest pieces. Do those look cooked? Your biggest pieces, do those look cooked? If there's any kind of hardness to them, then you know you got to cook it just a little bit longer. Let's go over here to our vegetables. They're looking pretty. Onions looking translucent, so I'm going to turn those off in just a second. We're going to add them to the potatoes. All right, so we've cooked the potatoes 25 minutes. They're ready to go. Now it's time for integration. So we're going to come over here, and I'm going to just tip my wok over, and we're going to stir in the vegetables. Well, you need a pretty big pan for this. That's why I use my large cast iron. And a wok is pretty light and easy to tip over and kind of let these two wonderful pans get integrated well. Y'all hungry yet? I've cut my pan down to low. I've got my metal spatula out. This is what I'm saying because it's going to be pretty heavy. You want to mix all this together. Look at this beautiful colors. You are going to need to re-season, so you're going to need to taste this. You're going to need to add some salt because again, we didn't add any of those, salt or anything to the vegetables. This is almost ready to go. So now to the alternatives of serving this. I've put some of the cowboy potatoes and looks about to be almost a half cup of cheese or more. And we're going to put that under the broiler for a few minutes. And I'm going to show you a great way to make a little skillet bake. Okay guys, our wonderful cowboy potatoes are done. I have here one served with an omelet, one that was baked in the oven. We put the cowboy potatoes under the broiler with cheddar cheese and then a sunny side egg on top. You play around with this recipe. I always add hot sauce to mine. I love hot sauce on everything, but it's a great recipe to just play around with. Add things that you like to it. Add sausage if you'd like. But this is just an awesome, versatile recipe if anybody's coming over for brunch or you just love potatoes. And again, thank you for coming to the channel today. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for all of our subscribers. And again, if you feel like donating to the hungry, please consider donating to Joshua International or Vernon and Stoynik. There will be a link in the description to those organizations. And I'll see you soon on the channel.